Good morning, dear students. Now let's discuss about pharmacodynamic interaction. In the last class, we have studied what is drug interaction, what is pharmacokinetic drug interactions, and what are the various drugs which are prone to produce various drug interactions and all we have studied. Now let's discuss about the pharmacodynamic drug interaction. Actually, in pharmacodynamic drug interaction, there will be modification of action of one drug at the target site by another drug independent of change in concentration. Okay, here we are not bothered about the change in concentration, but there will be modification of action of one drug at the target site by another drug. What we studied under pharmacokinetic drug interaction, there will be change in concentration. Okay, actually there will be altering the concentration of the drug at the site of action. How the concentration will be changed by affecting the absorption, distribution, metabolism and elimination. But here the response of one drug will be modified by another drug at the target site independent of the change in concentration. Hope you are clear. In pharmacodynamic interaction, there will be modification of action of one drug at the target site by another drug independent of the change in concentration, and we will be getting either an enhanced response or we will be getting a decreased response. The enhanced response is synergism and the decreased response is antagonism, or you will be getting an abnormal response. That is pharmacodynamic drug interaction. The effect is either synergism, antagonism or an abnormal response. So this is the definition and we will be seeing with the various examples. So first is we are imagine a person is taking an benzodiazepine, you know, it is coming under sedative hypnotic. Next, an antihistamine, sedating antihistamine. Under antihistamines we have studied first generation, second generation, that is highly sedative, moderately sedative and non-sedative. If you see this chlorpheniramine maleate, similarly promethazine, these are sedating drugs. Similarly, a neuroleptics antipsychotic, that is chlorpromazine, or opioid means morphine, or a person taking alcoholic beverages. If they are taking any of the drugs above together, what will happen? Excess sedation occurs. Excess sedation, respiratory depression and motor incoordination occurs. Hope you're clear. A person, if he is taking concurrently, taking together a benzodiazepine, a sedating antihistamine, a neuroleptic, an opioid or an alcohol together, what will be the symptom? There will be excess sedation, respiratory depression and motor incoordination. We know these drugs normally if you are taking singly also it will be producing sedation, but respiratory depression won't be like it will be damaging our normal body actions. But here if you are taking both the drugs together, what will happen? There will be excess sedation, motor incoordination and also respiratory depression. Hope you're clear. Second is, if you're combining various antihypertensives, we know various antihypertensives classification. Hope we have studied under therapeutics. We have alpha 1 adrenergic blockers, vasodilators, AC inhibitors. AC means angiotensin converting enzyme inhibitors, high ceiling diuretics, and cardiac depressants. These are the drugs which we are using to control BP. Also we have included here cardiac depressant. So you can give some combination of drugs like AC inhibitors, alpha 1 blockers, vasodilators, high ceiling diuretics. If they are combined together and given, what will happen? There will be excessive fall in BP and fainting. Okay, first we were telling about the excess sedation, respiratory depression and motor incoordination. Which drugs will be producing that? The sedating antihistamine, then benzodiazepine, neuroleptic, opioid or any alcoholic beverages. Next, excess fall in BP, fainting because of administration of alpha 1 adrenergic blockers, vasodilators, AC inhibitors, high ceiling diuretics and cardiac depressants. Next is, imagine a person is having diabetes and that person is taking insulin or sulfonylureas. Insulin is the anti-diabetic, like okay, a person high glucose levels are there, will be injecting insulin, or he is on oral anti-diabetic. Oral anti-diabetic in the sense sulfonylureas, glibenclamide. Likewise, he is taking any drug, and if he is taking propranolol along with this oral anti-diabetic or insulin, what will happen is the person will be having an pronounced and asymptomatic hypoglycemia. His blood sugar will be much lower, but it will not be symptomatic. He won't be able to feel his blood sugar has reduced, but there will be a pronounced asymptomatic hypoglycemia. Okay, pronounced and asymptomatic hypoglycemia occurs when propranolol. What is propranolol? It's a beta blocker which is used in treatment of hypertension. So a hypertensive and a diabetic patient, if is taking propranolol with the insulin or sulfonylureas, what will happen? There will be pronounced and asymptomatic hypoglycemia. What the reason is? Due to blockade of beta adenoreceptors. Beta blockers will be blocking the beta adrenergic receptors. So there will be recovery from hypoglycemia, and actually there will be blockade of beta adrenergic receptors. Because of the blockade of beta adrenergic receptors, the hypoglycemia will be asymptomatic. Next is regarding the action of anticoagulants. Anticoagulants we are giving to prolong the prothrombin time. Okay, if you are giving oral anticoagulants, if a person is taking an oral anticoagulant, sometimes he may be having some clots. To control the clots, we are giving some oral anticoagulants, and a person taking oral anticoagulants, along with that, if he is given antibiotic like ceftriaxone or cefoperazone. Ceftriaxone and cefoperazone are antibiotic. So a person taking oral anticoagulants, along with this he is taking ceftriaxone or cefoperazone, what will happen is there will be prolongation of prothrombin time and bleeding, additive prolongation. Normally we need to prolong the bleeding time and prothrombin time. For that we are giving oral anticoagulants, that is okay. But if you are combining that oral anticoagulant with ceftriaxone or cefoperazone, what will happen? There will be additive prolongation of prothrombin time and bleeding. Okay, next is drug like clopidogrel, then this ticlopidine, aspirin. These are platelet inhibitory drugs, antiplatelet drugs. They will inhibit the aggregation of platelets, and there, if you are combining this aspirin, ticlopidine, clopidogrel and carbenicillin together, what will happen? There will be excessive platelet inhibition. If there is excessive platelet inhibition, there are chances of bleeding. Hope you cleared the 5 points. First, what we have studied? First, we have studied excessive sedation, respiratory depression, motor incoordination due to simultaneous administration of sedative, then benzodiazepine, sedative, and histamines, opioids, and also a person taking alcoholic drugs. Okay. Second, what we have discussed? Secondly, we have discussed about BP4. Okay, if you are taking some different classes of antihypertensives together. Next, pronounced hypoglycemia, asymptomatic hypoglycemia to a person taking beta blockers with the insulin or sulfonylureas. Next, additive prolongation of prothrombin time and bleeding by co-administration of ceftriaxone or cefoperazone to a patient taking oral anticoagulants. Next, excessive platelet inhibition resulting in bleeding due to taking aspirin, ticlopidine, clopidogrel or carbenicillin. Okay, next, again, if a person is taking antiplatelet drugs with anticoagulants. Previously, we have individually discussed anticoagulants with the antibiotics. Similarly, antiplatelet drugs with antibiotics. Here, if a person is taking both antiplatelet drugs and anticoagulants, there also increased risk of bleeding. So, this increased risk of bleeding conditions, 3 examples we have seen. For increased risk of bleeding occurs when a person is taking anticoagulants with antibiotics. then antiplatelet drugs with antibiotics or anticoagulants with antiplatelet drugs. Next is bradycardia. Bradycardia means decrease in the heart rate. It occurs due to administration of propranolol in digitalized patient. Digitalis is the drug used to control congestive heart failure. But in case of a patient with the digitalis, if you are giving propranolol is a beta blocker, and if you are giving propranolol to a digitalized patient, what will happen? There will be bradycardia. Okay. What is that? There will be bradycardia due to administration of propranolol in digitalized patients. Next, a patient we are giving sildenafil and also nitrates. Actually, sildenafil is a vasodilator. Also, again, our organic nitrates. Organic nitrates we are using for angina. Angina is chest pain. For chest pain, we will be using organic nitrates. A person is taking organic nitrate, and that person, if he is taking sildenafil, what will happen? Sildenafil, it will be producing excessive fall in BP and myocardial ischemia occurs. Okay, there will be fall in BP and myocardial ischemia due to use of sildenafil by patients taking organic nitrates. So, the reason is nitrates will be increasing the production of cyclic AMP, whereas sildenafil prevent the degradation of cyclic AMP. Sildenafil prevent the degradation of cyclic AMP by inhibiting phosphodiesterase 5. Both are contributing to increase in the generation of cyclic AMP. Okay, if a person on nitrates or taking sildenafil is taking nitrates, both together there will be excessive fall in BP and bradycardia. What the reason? By increasing the generation of cyclic AMP. How that the organic nitrates will increase the generation of cyclic AMP. Sildenafil will prevent the degradation of cyclic AMP by inhibiting phosphodiesterase 5. Next, a person taking a person is on a diuretic. Diuretics will be enhancing the elimination of sodium. Potassium hypokalemia occurs, hyponatremia occurs. To prevent that, the patient is given the potassium sparing diuretic like spironolactone. And if a person is taking ACE inhibitors and potassium sparing diuretics, what will happen is severe hyperkalemia. The potassium concentration will increases. Okay. Next example of pharmacodynamic interaction is ototoxicity. Ototoxicity means it will be damaging the hearing, and a person taking aminoglycoside antibiotic like streptomycin, gentamicin, and if he is taking furosemide, there will be additive ototoxicity. One of the major side effect of aminoglycoside antibiotics is it will be producing ototoxicity. So, the same person if is taking furosemide, there will be additive ototoxicity. Next, if you are combining a bacteriostatic drug with a bactericidal drug, what is this bacteriostatic and what is bactericidal? Bacteriostatic means that will be inhibiting the growth of bacteria. Bactericidal means it will be killing the growth of bacteria. Are you clear? What is bacteriostatic? Bacteriostatic means it will be inhibiting the growth of bacteria. Bactericidal means it will be killing the bacteria. If you are combining a bacteriostatic drug with a bactericidal drug, there will be antagonism occurs. So, you will be writing some example. The beta-lactam antibiotic is a bactericidal drug. Bacteriostatic drugs are tetracycline, erythromycin or clindamycin. So, there will be antagonism of bactericidal action of beta-lactam antibiotics by combining it with the bacteriostatic drug like tetracycline, erythromycin or clindamycin. And next again with the antibiotics alone. Antibiotics we are explaining. Antibiotics like macrolides, clindamycin, chloramphenicol, these all act by inhibiting the bacterial protein synthesis. Okay. If you study antibiotics, they'll be acting by different mechanism like inhibiting cell wall synthesis, inhibiting protein synthesis. Here the drugs act by inhibiting the protein synthesis, and if you're taking drugs together, macrolides like erythromycin, clindamycin and chloramphenicol together, there will be mutual antagonism of antibacterial action. The antibacterial action will be antagonized by interfering with each other, binding to the bacterial 50S ribosome. All the drugs are supposed to inhibiting the bacterial 50S ribosome. So if we are taking together, they won't be able to inhibit they won't be able to bind to the 50th ribosome of the bacteria, and mutual antagonism occurs. Next is, if we are taking chlorpromazine, it is an antipsychotic drug. If chlorpromazine is given to a patient taking clonidine, what is clonidine? Clonidine is antihypertensive. What will happen? There will be reduction in the antihypertensive action. Reduction in antihypertensive action of clonidine by chlorpromazine and imipramine. What's the reason is due to blockade of central action of clonidine. Next is a person taking NSAIDs. Again, he is taking ACE inhibitors, beta blockers, or diuretics. If a person is taking NSAIDs in a condition of hypertension along with ACE inhibitors or beta blockers or diuretics, the antihypertensive effect will be reduced due to inhibition of the renal prostaglandin synthesis. Okay. Next is anti-Parkinsonism action of levodopa will be blocked by neuroleptics and metoclopramide. We know levodopa is the anti-Parkinsonian drug. The anti-Parkinsonian effect of levodopa will be reduced by neuroleptics and metoclopramide. They have anti-dopaminergic action. Next is actually levodopa is an anti-Parkinson drug, whereas metoclopramide and neuroleptic will be blocking the level of dopamine. So our anti-Parkinson effect will be decreased. And another one example, the potassium conserving action of spironolactone will be inhibited by aspirin. We have studied spironolactone is a potassium sparing diuretic. That effect will be inhibited by aspirin because it inhibits the tubular secretion of candrinone. Candrinone is the metabolite of spironolactone. So you have studied so many examples for pharmacodynamic drug interaction. At least you should be very thorough with minimum 10 examples. So study all the 16 and you will be able to recollect at least minimum 10 at the time of examination. Hope you are clear with all the pharmacodynamic drug interaction. Finally, we have the drug interactions occurring before drug administration. Before drug administration, you may think how drug interaction occurs before drug administration. In parenteral preparation, if you are mixing two things, two injections together, some will be mixing with interact with each other and drug interaction occurs. So certain drugs will react and will get inactivated if they are mixed before administration. Hope you are clear what is this before administration. If you are mixing together, the drug will get inactivated and interaction occurs. Example is in combined oral or parenteral formulation. Even in combination tablets, they will be taking care that there should not be any incompatibility. Similarly, in parenteral formulation. In parenteral formulation, if such situation occurs, what we have to do, we have to give them individually. We should not mix them in the same syringe or in the same infusion bottle. In the same syringe or in the same infusion bottle, we should not mix. Okay. Examples. Penicillin G or ampicillin mixed with gentamicin or another aminoglycoside. Both are antibiotics. Penicillin is a beta-lactam antibiotic. Gentamicin is a aminoglycoside antibiotic. If you are mixing both the drugs together in the same syringe, interaction occurs. Next is thiopentone sodium with the succinylcholine or morphine. Thiopentone sodium is an anesthetic and succinylcholine is a neuromuscular blocker, skeletal muscle relaxant. If we are mixing them together, what will happen? interaction occurs. Before general anesthesia, we are supposed to give the patient with the neuromuscular blockers and also general anesthetic. So if you are combining both the things together, there will be interaction occurs. Next, heparin anticoagulant mixed with penicillin, gentamicin, hydrocortisone interaction occurs. And next, noradrenaline when added to sodium bicarbonate. And this also leads to interaction. What we should do, we should take care while before mixing two parenterals together. Actually, why the nurses or doctors advise to mix together to prevent the overload to the patient. But if some injections, if you are mixing together, drug interaction occurs. We know we are supposed to know the common drug interactions. Also, you have drug interaction checking softwares available, and you will be checking whether the prescription contain any incompatible drugs and how can you prevent the drug interaction. This is the duty of the clinical pharmacist, and you should do that. Okay, so you should be very thorough with the drug interaction. I hope you got an outline picture of what is drug interaction, what are the drugs mainly produces drug interactions. What is pharmacokinetic drug interaction? That is drug interaction which occurs due to absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination. Next, today we have discussed about the pharmacodynamic drug interaction. That is alteration of the drug at the target site. Okay, irrespective of the concentration, modification of the response. There will be modification of the response of drug irrespective of the concentration. We have studied so many examples. Okay, I hope you're clear. Thank you.